All right. Okay. All right. So today I'll be presenting on chapter 7, which is conflict resolutions negotiating style. It is a subtopic in chapter 7. So let me ask you a question first before we go further into it. How do you actually face a conflict? When there's a conflict that's happening within your group members, how do you face it? Do you actually avoid it or do you actually try to resolve it? In what way? So, if you have been trying to face a conflict and you don't know if the way that you have been doing is the right way, now I'm going to tell you what's the right way to face a conflict. So, actually, in facing a conflict, there are two dimensions that you have to consider about. The first one is assertiveness, which is a concern for your own self. And then the second one is cooperativeness, which is a concern for others. For the other people, for your own group, the care towards your other group, the care towards your other members. However, the concern for self is like being selfish. You just care about your own self. Okay, let's go further into it. So, in conflict negotiating styles, there are actually five styles. Five styles that you can use. So, the first one is avoiding. Avoiding is low on both assertive and cooperativeness. You're not selfish, but you're not caring about the others as well. And then the second one is accommodating, which is non assertive but cooperative. You're not selfish and you really care about the others, most particularly like being nice. And then we have compromising, which is moderate both on assertiveness and cooperativeness. It's like you're finding the middle ground for both happiness and sadness in the group. And then we have collaborating, which is both assertive and and also cooperative. This one is really good because you're playing both good roles. And then we have competing, assertive but non-cooperative. You care about yourself, but you care about yourself and you don't care about the others. So that's it. So the first one, let's talk about avoiding. How do I put myself? Where do I put myself here? First one is avoiding. Just like what I said just now, avoiding is low on both assertiveness and cooperativeness, so it blends really well with the person who plays the role silent observer. Because silent observer usually does not really care about the others. They just look at the other group members, do nothing, just sit there. So in avoiding, a non-competitive and a non-collaborative response in the face of interpersonal and team conflict, and for them avoiding is actually a strategy for someone who thinks that conflict is detrimental and dysfunctional to the team, meaning that they think that this conflict will bring harm to their group. So what they can do is just avoid it. They're not gonna come out of the way for the conflict. They just got out of the way and avoid the conflict, total avoiding it. So there are actually the importance into it, which are the first one is the appropriate avoidance may enhance the chance of managing conflict effectively. So if you know the right way to avoid the conflict, it may be the right way. So it may be effective in order to manage the conflict. And then it applies when the chance of accomplishing goal are low, meaning that when you are trying to accomplish a goal but you already know that the, the tendency of the tendency of achieving the goal is very low, so what you can do is just avoid the conflict. And then when the issue is central important to the others, but to you it's just a passing importance. Like for the other group members, it's really important. They really care about the conflict, but for you, it's not that it's not big issue. You can just avoid it. It's not really a big issue for you to care much about it. And then this style incorporate the need to keep safe and avoid conflict or stay low and go and wait for a better time, meaning that if you still want to deal with this conflict, but not now. So you just stay low for now, and then find a better time for you to discuss with the group members for this conflict again. So the strategy that you can do in this style is responding or delaying. So in response, sometimes no response are actually the best way. So meaning that in avoiding this, in avoiding, you just stay shut up and don't give any response to the conflict. And then for managing conflict, only one person can be angry at a time. So if there are actually more than one person being angry in the group at a time, it may be really chaotic So you cannot avoid anymore. So you have to to be in that way. And then the best way to de-escalate conflict are by following this rule, which means that you have to stay shut up and do not respond. And then next thing is delay. In delaying, oftenly the correct response to conflict producing statement where you can postpone the issue. You can postpone the issue for the next time in order for you to reduce the tension that is happening right now. So you just postpone it and wait for a better time for you to reflect. And then give time for more each member to reflect on their statement, which means that if you're avoiding it now, then you it's like you're giving your group members more time to reflect on their statement, to reflect themselves on what they do, so they can think if what they did is actually the right thing or not. So if they find it's not the right thing, then they might as well come back again and apologize to the others. And then we have accommodating. Accommodating is the other style, which is non-assertive but very cooperative. Um, Usually it's for the kind people who does not really care about themselves but cares about the other. So accommodating is for the people who believes that one should be obliged to be complaisant, pliable, and yielding, and unselfish, and meet the wants and needs of the other group members. In accommodating, it might take form of selfless generosity or charity, where they obey orders when there may be in a good reason to it, or yield to another's point of view. And also in accommodating, the people who uses this style, they tend to assert their own personal view and avoid taking position in discussion that would create controversial issue. And the importance, there are actually importance and weaknesses as well. So the importance of this style is it is really effective response to conflict if you are trying to create the impression in the minds of others that you are very reasonable or a team player. Most likely if you want people to think that you're a very kind person. And then we have it helps avoid threatening an important personal or professional relationship. Like you don't want to you don't want to create a negative energy between you and your group members, and it increases the level of reference power and creates interpersonal capital. However, the weaknesses to it is this style has once been called as a powerless communication because it may be perceived by others as uncertain or unsure of themselves. Like you're not sure if what you do is the right thing. You just want to look kind to the others. And also it may not perceive as power players or having power potential. But however, if you're still gonna play this style, there are strategies to it, which are apology and disclaimers. In apology, like you use this style to admit blame, to obtain a pardon, to apologize to the others, or to reduce negative repercussion for a particular action. It often used to accept blame and responsibility when nobody is warranted and function to accommodate. Like nobody is going to take the blame, so you're just going to be the hero of the group and just take the blame. And then we have disclaimers, strategies that excuse, explain, or request understanding or forbearance from others. So it often precedes direct statements of opinions, requests, and recommendation where it may be no perceived as dominant as uh, or forceful. And then the next style we have is compromising. Compromising is moderate on both assertiveness or cooperativeness. It's like finding the middle ground, not really happy about it, but not really sad about it as well. So this is for the people who believes that one should engage in mutual yielding or mutual concession. Just like what I said just now, finding the middle ground of it. So you want everybody to be happy about it, but in order for you to be happy about it, you have to be sad about something as well. So when compromising, you may seek a quick solution to the conflict where you have to explore what concession need to be made by all parties to reach an agreement. So you have to ask the parties that fight, maybe person A and person B, you have to ask both of them what they actually want. So and then after that, you know what they actually want, you have to compromise both things in order to you find in order for you to reach an agreement, mutual agreement. And compromising may be an effective response to a situation for both where both parties has a very high ego and very high perceived goals alliance, or when you have already attempted collaborative style solutions but it is unsuccessful. So you might want to use this compromising style in order for you to face the conflict. And most conflict are usually cognitive, ideational, role, or personal in nature. So you have to assume that everybody has the same goals and motives to find the best solution. So only that way you can find a way to compromise, because you compromise things for you to find the same, for you to find the mutual agreement, the mutual motives and goals. And the strategies. Oh, wait, let me breathe. Okay, the mutual the strategies that you can use in order to use this style is to restate your opinion or state the other's opinion. In restating your opinion, it's actually you have to make the members of the group aware of the group needs and goals, especially when emotions are running high, because when people are fighting, the emotions are running high, they tend to forget actually what their actual goal, but only focusing on what they are fighting for. So what you can do is compromise by stating the goals that motivates your action. For example, I can say, maybe I can say, Hafiz, I don't think it's fair for all of us to get the same grade since each of us has had different workloads. So the goal here may be having the same workloads. So when you say it's not fair for us to have different workloads but having the same grades, so that actually motivates the group members to actually have the same workloads in order for you to be fair in getting the same grade. And then the next one is state the other's opinion, where where it can help to understand the reasoning and rationale underlying the other group member's position. It's like you're not leaving anybody out of this. You you care about everybody. So what you can say is, I understand. Like I understand is the phrase that that very core strategy in compromising. Like for example, you say, Hafiz, I really understand that you feel strongly about your plan, but however, we should look for ways to compromise in order to satisfy the needs of other group members. So when you're saying, I understand Hafiz, so it makes Hafiz feel on a little loose on the anger, so he's feel a little calm, like he feels like somebody actually understand him. But but that does not mean people have to follow he wants what he wants, because what he wants may actually not satisfy the other group members. And then the other style is collaborating. Collaborating is actually both assertive, both cooperative. It's really good. Collaborating is the opposite of avoiding. In collaborating, you actually have to cooperate. You have to work together. You have to labor jointly with the other group members. And because of that, there's a phrase where it says two heads are better than one. So that is why you have to work together, because it's better than working alone. And sorry, collaboration involves an attempt to work with the other member or with the other person or the team to find solution, relational goals or both parties. The competence of this style is actually depends on how effective it is, of on how appropriate it is, since collaboration is most likely to be an effective response to conflict, since it produces the highest level of consensus. And time-intensive process may cause conflict and also threaten team or organization's productivity. And if you want to use this style, there are strategies to it. The first one is compare needs and goals, and the second one is creating a win-win situation. In comparing needs and goals, sometimes there are only apparent conflicts. So you have to come up with a win-win outcome for everyone. Let's say you find a common time to meet is often, let's say, when you're trying to schedule a group discussion, it's really hard since not everyone has the same schedule. So what you can do is you call out upon everybody and make everybody tell make everybody tell the schedule on what day they'll free, on what day they're going to be available. So with that, from the list, you can finally come up with a day that everybody is finally free. So that's it. But in creating a win-win situation, the advantage is group interaction is the opportunity to create an original answer to allow everyone to win, which is creating schedule to give win-win situation for everyone. For example, in your UM, we are usually don't have classes on Tuesday. So what you can do is you just come out, you just come out with a schedule. You just come out with a group discussion on Tuesday. You just as a group leader, you can just tell everybody, let's have a meeting on Tuesday. Since everybody's not going to have classes on Tuesday, so let's just have it on Tuesday without further asking before the the date for the group discussion. And then lastly, we have competing. Competing is assertive but non-cooperative. Usually it stand up for one's professional rights, defending a position that you believe is correct for the purpose of winning. So even though the other people don't think it's correct, but as long as you think it is correct, then you can go for competing. And then in competitive encounters, one attempts to exert influence using both direct and indirect strategies where orders, commands, directives, and direct counter-arguments are highly competitive strategies in the face of conflict. Usually the people who are very outspoken, who really has the high tendency of making people convinced with what they say, is really, they can use this competing style. And then the competent communication is depending on how effective this style is and always a response to the demands of the situation. So if you're going to use this style, the strategies to it are you can use legitimate power or higher authority. In using legitimate power, let's say you're the team leader, you can actually set schedules and deadlines and simply ask the group to comply. You just state in the group, this is the task, blah blah blah. I want you to submit everything on 9th of June. So everyone has to agree with it. Nobody's gonna disagree with it. Okay, and sometimes the leader can choose to win an issue on scheduling the quality of work. So as a leader, you can simply state, these are the standard that we must meet. You can say that. You can say that to your group members, just to make everyone make a very good job. So you can just say, these are the standard that we must meet. So everybody will be making the work, will be doing the work as the standard that you have set before. And then in using higher authority, for example, in universities, dean or the president are usually the authorities that we must obey. We have to respect them. And thing, the same thing happens in professional setting. In private organization, we usually use authority of a superior that can produce immediate consent of the part of the group members. So with what the final decision that I'll be making, nobody's gonna disobey it. They're just gonna agree with it. So to conclude everything, let me recap everything again. So in avoiding, it is non-assertive, non-cooperative. They don't care about it. They don't care about themselves. They don't care about the people as well. So it's like you see no problem in it, so you just get out of the way. So the strategies that you can use is response and delay. And then we have accommodating, which is non-assertive but cooperative. You don't care about yourself, but you care about the others. You go along with the conflict just to get along with the others. So the strategies that you can use the strategies that you can use are apology and also disclaimer. And then we have compromising, which is moderate assertive and moderate cooperative. It's like what I said, finding the middle ground for everything. Like you give a little just to get another little of another little of the other thing that you want. So the strategies that you can use is restating your opinion and state the other's opinion. And then we have collaborating, which is assertive and cooperative. You care about the other and you care about yourself too, where you look for a solution that lets everybody win. You let yourself win and you let the other group members win as well. So strategies that you can use are you have to compare the needs and goals and needs, and then you have to create a win-win situation. And lastly, we have competing. Assertive but non-cooperative, they only care about themselves, but they do not care about the other, where you look to achieve your own goals, just your goals, not the group goals. So the strategies that you can use is use your legitimate power or use higher authority. So I think that is all for today. Thank you.